Subscribe to join us and our travels as we share our life on the sea.
Dig deep underneath this red.
We're on our way back to Sarong for provisions and for a visa extension.
All right, guys, we are in Sarong, Indonesia, West Papua. Phone's ringing. We have a major problem. We're about to head back up and do some diving, and our dive compressors stopped working. It's a little Honda motor, a GX200. I've tried bloody everything to get this thing going underneath this esky, because this used to sit in a bag and it was always moist, and I reckon I've half killed this engine over time just with having it sit in the bag. So what I'm doing, I've already pulled this apart. I've cleaned out the carburetor, I've cleaned out the fuel tank, I've cleaned out the air filter, and generally with these little motors, it's usually just the clean of the carb. It has old fuel sits in there, and that usually causes half the problem. But we've got nothing. We've got nothing at all, right down to the spark plug, and there's no spark at all on the spark plug. So that indicates to me this little one here is our problem. So I've just been ashore, I've sourced one of these coils. It says GX 160, but apparently the 160-200's all the same. So I'm assuming when I pull this out, this is our problem. We've got corrosion, or it's just had its day. But regardless, I've just bought one anyway, and I'm going to set this up and see how we go. So it should be a pretty quick little job. Probably keep the camera rolling here, guys. So what we'll do first up, I like to just pull things off in order. So I'll find myself a little workbench here, maybe. So we pull off this, we'll remove our air filter. That way, if you put the pieces down in order, when you go to put something back together, guys, it makes it a little bit easier. What I'm going to do is loosen this carburetor, get this off. See, our coil lead runs behind this, so I'll just undo this. Like I said, as you pull bits apart, just put them in the order. You pull them apart. And being on a boat, hopefully we don't start rocking and this stuff starts rolling into the water, because that's another problem. What do we got here? Alright, looks like it comes behind here. I'll get myself a little extension going here. So I'm pretty sure I just got to remove this cover, and there should be a coil behind here. There's one up here. I could unmount this compressor, but I'm trying to just do the job without pulling the whole thing apart. A little bit awkward, but we'll get there. It's actually a new spark plug, so I put the multimeter on there, tested that it wasn't the spark plug, plugged it in and gave it a pull, and there was nothing. So I'm assuming, guys, this is going to work. We'll see. There's one coil lead here. If I can get that apart like so. There it is there. So I've just disconnected that. Prior to that, guys, I forgot to tell you, I did put the multimeter on this, and I tested my oil pressure switch and the on and off switch over here, and I was getting a good reading on those, so I knew it wasn't them, so I've gone for the coil. Just going to remove this cover. Those little levers. Get him out of the road for now. A little bit of corrosion in there, like you can see, it's all rusted out. It was prior to having this esky that we put on here the last time we were in Sarong. It was always in a zip-up bag, you would have seen in the movie, so it was always just holding moisture, and I think that's half my problem. Oh wow, yeah, she's very, very rusty in here, guys. This is our coil here I'm replacing, so I'm just going to check the gap here. Should be about 0.33 of a mil. So what have we got here? I got 0.35, that'll do. Should be about that gap. Hold on, doesn't work when there's two together. Yeah, it's tight, but that'll be about our gap. So it's about 0.33 of a mil clearance you got to have here when I put the new one on. So what I'm going to do should be about, say 4 folds of some paper, just some standard printer paper. Should give me about that. So I'm going to stick the paper in there first. It's pretty rusty looking. Probably should clean it up a bit. Okay, it should be that little wire that runs behind here. So, it's my little hour meter, so I'll unwind that. One that I'm assuming has seen better days. Not too bad looking, but look at our new one. Same length cable. Alright. Alright, so I'm going to put the new one on, put it back together, and hopefully we're back in action. So I've just slid this paper out and tightened up the bolts, which gives me about 0.3. Yeah, this is 0.3 and a 0.33 of a mil, give or take. So yeah, that was just a piece of paper folded 4 times, sort of gives you around 0.335 of a mil, 0.33. Slide that in, tighten it up, that's back on. I'm just going to connect all this back together now, the way it all come apart. Give me a minute, put the spark plug back in, give it a pull. If it doesn't start, I'm just going to throw it in the water. I've tried everything. This is my last resort. Otherwise, Mechanic Lee's not sure what's going on.
He's joking, guys. We're not going to throw it in the ocean.
No, we're not going to do that. I'll just have to keep troubleshooting, but I reckon I got it. So it is a bit rusty, the old flywheel here. So, but anyway, it's as good as it gets. I've got the new one on there. I'll get all this back together. This fuel line back on. Fuel line's back on. Control line's back on. Alright. My big fingers don't like going in here. Just have to hold that. Alright. Just pull them up loosely till we get them all in. Get this back on. Okay, all looks good. Connect our pipe back up. Be pulling this cord to see if we fix the problem and we can go diving. It's not a lifesaver, but it's definitely a bit of kit on the boat. We want to keep going. Otherwise we can't blow bubbles without this machine. And we can't usually afford to fill 4 tanks at a time at, I don't know, $10 to $15 a tank here in Indonesia. Makes for an expensive dive. For us anyway. Put that back on. Put our cover back on. Now you always look back at the board that I laid everything out on. See that? There's nothing left, which means I haven't forgotten any bits and pieces. Fingers crossed this works. I've tightened the plug up, I've put the lead on. Let's the fuel's on. I'll give it one bit of choke. Leave it down pretty low. No, no fix. I've cleaned the carby. I've done the new. Oh, bummed. It's got fuel. Wheels on. Give it a couple of revs maybe. I do have a compression tester. I might just stick it on here and make sure nothing mechanical's going on. I will check the coil once more. We got spark. See if we got spark. Still got no spark. Where is that plug? All else fails, try another spark plug. This was a new one, but I'm running out of ideas here, guys. Brand newy. BPR 6ES. It's that turning around from there to there. Charges the coil to give it the spark.
Brand new. Can't be that. Did it plug it in properly?
Oh, it's bolted on. It's all it is.
The little plug though plugs in.
Yeah, that's plugged on. That's just a kill switch. If you disconnect it, it still runs. You can't stop it then. So that's the old one. There's a new one of them on. So it has to be something with that turns. New coil, still no spark. So with these Honda engines, they're pretty simple. You usually just turn the switch and give them a half a pull and they go. What was the problem? Tell you next week.
Don't leave them hanging.
I cleaned the carburetor twice. It's usually the problem of all simple little engines like this. Wasn't the problem. I had no spark, so I thought it must be the lead or the coil, and we've only got a couple of days here in Sarong, so I went and bought a new coil lead. It was only $5, it's a Chinese one, copy. I put that on, still no spark, so I thought it was the spark plug. Checked and changed the spark plug, wasn't the spark plug. The switch, I got the ohm reader going, the multimeter on there, checked the switch, it was fine. Still no problem solved. One last thing, the last thing I had a look at was the oil sensor. Now the oil is full, it's fine, and I checked the oil because I actually checked that before I started because low oil and they won't start. But what I didn't check was the oil sensor, and I put the multi on that and it's a dodgy sensor, so I've disconnected the oil sensor for now. It doesn't burn oil and I check it all the time anyway, so it's not a big issue for me. But yeah, I've disconnected the oil sensor and we're in action. Raja Empat, here we come again.
This guy does not like it when he can't work something out.
Oh man, that consumed my whole day brainstorming this thing. Didn't really, consumed half my day. It's all good, we're running. That's the main thing.
Good job, guys. We only had one thing left to do, and that was to provision up so we could head back out to the islands. Provisioning up in Sarong. Do you need another trolley, babe? Do another trolley? Done our provisioning. Ali's coming in to pick us up. And we're going to head back out to the islands for another month. We've got our visa extension done. And we're all good to go. These two have had a hard day.